And a ship carrying humanitarian aid was bombed by drones.
A drone fired 2 missiles at the front of the ship.
So there is credible information that is beginning to point to the fact that this was an Israeli operation. We just learned in the last hour or so that the flag that the ship was flying under has been removed. And it's now flagless at the moment, which compounds the problem. So what we're looking for is for another country to give the ship a flag. We require this urgently. So we're talking to governments, we're talking to activists, we're talking to politicians, we're talking to global leaders. What's more important and more urgent is that the ship is taking on water. And if it's not saved by maintenance, if it's not towed by a tug immediately into the port for repairs, we will lose all the aid, all the medicine, all the food that's currently on the ship.
There's two things that we really need done incredibly urgently. The first thing is we need you to contact leaders in government who can put pressure on the Maltese government, on Maltese authorities to take that ship into harbour.
Yes.
The second thing, what we need from you is we need you to contact your leaders and also to say the ship needs a flag. We just wanted to interrupt this with breaking news that the good news is the Maltese government has agreed to let the flotilla in. We're going to continue to play the video as is, but I want you just to bear in mind that the update is the Maltese government has allowed the people in, so you are going to hear some stuff in the edit that is not quite current. This is because the video was recorded a few hours earlier, but of course there are some details about what's actually happened, and we think it's important to know what's happened. So just stay tuned, watch the video, but remember, the Maltese government has now provided safe passage for the ship. Thank you to the Maltese government. Thank you to the Maltese people. On 3, 2, 1. Hi everyone, it's Nigel Branken here. You're with the Ordinary Activist channel. I'm joined in the studio with Sunny Morgan, and we've got something urgent to talk about. We want to talk about the flotilla and what's happened there. There's a crisis and we need your intervention. So I'm just going to hand over straight to you, Sunny. Let us know what's happening and how we can help.
Yeah, this is urgent. The Freedom Flotilla's ship, the Conscience, was attacked in the early hours of the morning yesterday, or just before midnight. It was attacked by drones while in international water off the coast of Malta. And now the ship is taking on water. The activists that were on the ship carrying aid to Gaza, medicines, food, and essential commodities urgently needed in Gaza has now been attacked. It was drone attack. We all know who is expert at drone attacks. Well, let me say that the Israelis attacked the ship. The activists have been safely removed and are now in Malta, but the ship is not allowed access into Malta. We just learned in the last hour or so that the flag that the ship was flying under has been removed. That means that Israel has put pressure on the country or the island that was providing the ship a flag status. So we have two demands. We want Malta to immediately, without delay, in the interest of humanity, in the interest of stopping the genocide, and not to be complicit in any way in preventing the aid from getting to Gaza. We want the Maltese authorities to urgently allow the ship access to the port. It's just outside the port on the perimeter of international waters, and it's now flagless at the moment, which compounds the problem. So what we're looking for is for another country close by to give the ship a flag. The ship has to fly under a flag. We require this urgently. So we're talking to governments, we're talking to activists, we're talking to politicians, we're talking to global leaders. Please provide a flag for the ship, the Conscience, which is part of the Freedom Flotilla, taking aid to Gaza. It's unconscionable at the moment that Israel will attempt to do this. And why I'm positive that it's Israel at this moment is because the UK Defense Journal published an article that initially thought it was an accident, but now, after more footage has come forward, it's credible that it is an action in international waters.
Which is a war crime.
Which is a war crime. One of the reasons why they are so sure now that it was an operation is because it was very specifically targeted, and credible data monitoring flight recording data puts a C-130 from the Israeli Defense Force in that region just a few hours before. It could have deployed the drones mid-air. So there is credible information that is beginning to point to the fact that this was an Israeli operation. That's not now under contention anymore. It's very, very plausible that it was an operation from the IDF. What's more important and more urgent is that the ship is taking on water. And if it's not saved by maintenance, if it's not towed by a tug immediately into the port for repairs, we will lose all the aid, all the medicine, all the food that's currently on the ship.
And Sunny, how long have the ship been without? Has Gaza been under siege in terms of food? And that's why this food is so urgently needed in Gaza. So we cannot lose this food.
Since March, around about mid-March, Israel has prevented all aid. Prior to that, some aid got through in that ceasefire that lasted about 10 days. And prior to that, it hasn't been allowed aid, and the trucks are piling up at the Rafah border. We're also making an urgent appeal to the Egyptian government to provide a humanitarian corridor so aid can get in. So what is currently happening is issues are being compounded upon each other, and this is a catastrophe of global proportions. We need urgent attention.
So there's two things that we really need done incredibly urgently. The first thing is we need you to contact leaders in government who can put pressure on the Maltese government, on Maltese authorities to take that ship into harbour.
Yes.
Why do they need to take that ship into harbour, Sunny?
Because it's currently damaged, and in its current position where it's berthed, it's going to, or anchored, it's going to take on water. It's going to take on water, we will lose the contents, and we'll lose the ship.
Yeah.
Which are both two important assets, not just the aid, but the ship itself.
So we don't want to lose the aid, we don't want to lose the ship. So that's the first thing. We need pressure on the Maltese government. We need you to reach authorities. The second thing, what we need from you is we need you to contact your leaders and also to say the ship needs a flag. Can you talk to that, Sam?
So the ship needs a flag. It means it gives the ship the authority to sail, and it gives it a certain amount of protection. Also, you don't only have to contact politicians or leaders. You can contact leaders of civil society organizations. You can protest where you are. You can make a big noise about this.
So you've got your mandate. Let's do this, friends. Let's get protesting outside the Maltese embassies. Let's get on the phones, contact civil society leaders, contact leaders who we can, and let's get this ship safe into port, and let's get it under a flag again so that we can eventually get that aid that is desperately needed now into Gaza. Thank you for listening.